let's jump into this free agent frenzy. Let's start off with some of these fucking signings that the Patriots had. They signed some. They've been spending that Gouda. They had the most money in free agency this year, and they were talking about spending, and they went out and spent it. Got Milton Williams, D tackle from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean,
think Bill would have made that deal?
Well, the Eagles wanted to keep him, but they just didn't have the cap space, and they already have just so many dominant players on their defensive line that are young bucks that they're going to eventually have to pay. So they had to let Milton Williams go. And, the Patriots gave him the most richest contract in Patriots history. I mean, what is it? A 4-year, like $100 million deal. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not like they overpaid. I think it was very fair. He's a great player. He's going to make a difference on that.
You got to spend it.
Line, and you have to spend it.
And you always build the team through the trenches, okay? This is a splash. I don't know what kind of guy he is, but I'm sure they did their homework. You got a guy like Vrabes there. He knows what winning's like. This Williams contract, this is awesome. The team needed that. Like, really and the money, that's not even like, you can't address the money because no one's really been paid a big contract at the Patriots since Tom, and that was like 8-10 years ago, so those numbers aren't going to be high. So like him going and having the richest contract in Patriot history, that's just due to the numbers and what the league is now from when we gave a big contract out to another guy. Would you agree?
I agree with you, man. And if you ask me as well, do I think Bill would have made that deal? Yes, I do, especially if he was in that situation with that much cap space and he needed a defensive lineman. Well, especially a defensive lineman he would have paid because it's a defensive guy and he loves bringing in those defensive guys and paying them as well. So I think Bill would have 100% made a move like this as well in this situation with that much cap space. It just overall, the fans wanted to see the Patriots spend too. They didn't want to see them sit back, relax, and hopefully a guy falls into their lap for, a good deal. No, they went out, they spent, and the Patriot fans appreciated it too because they want to see those type of guys out on the field. They want to see a winning formula, and I feel like they're on the right, trajectory and going in the right direction right now with all these moves that they made.
I wish they got more linemen. Like the center, like look, DA just retired or got cut. So, you wish him what a great career, 9-10 seasons with us. I remember when he was a young pup, 8-time captain, 2 Super Bowls. Like, he's a stud. What was the lineman that went? Name?
Well, they picked one up, Jules. Are you talking about who they picked up?
No, I know. No, what was the center that went? That in free agency?
He went from
the center from another team.
I think the
in
Atlanta
free
Falcons
agency
to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Is that
him.
Who we're talking about. I don't know his
exactly.
name, but I saw that guy. He went from
he's on the market
Falcons
like
to the Bears.
Regardless,
the Patriots needed to grab him, especially if they knew. That's one guy the Patriots missed out on was the center from the Falcons who the Chicago Bears picked up. They should have paid him whatever he wanted.
They got Tooney as well. The Bears had they've picked up. Like, I know Tooney's probably going to be expensive, and he's on the other side of 30, but Drew Dahlman, like, they could have got, like, there's been a lot of money given to players that they need. Like, they got Morgan Moses, but he's kind of an older guy, and 3 years, 24 mil, 11 guaranteed. He's just there probably for veteran presence and to swing and probably try to help someone that they bring in. I mean, they're going to need them. They need more line. I like the Carlton Davis signing. I think that the Patriots now have 2 like legit lockdown corners. Like, I think Carlton Davis is a number 2 behind Gonzo. Like, they're going to do a lot. You get inside pressure with Milton. The signing of Landry on the outside. He's a good football player, plays hard, has some experience with Vrabel's system. So, like, I love what they're doing on defense. Offense, I want to protect the kid more. I don't know what they're going to do in the draft, so like I haven't been talking to anyone, but like love that they need to protect. They got to protect him. More line. Let's get more line. You know what I mean? Look at these teams that have the best teams in the league right now have line.
We need to still go out and get a star wide receiver. I mean, that might be the draft.
I like the Mac Hollins. I like
or
Mac Hollins though. I like that
good.
sign.
He's a good pickup because he's great at special teams, and special teams a key factor, especially with Mike Vrabel being in charge.
But I also
like a Patriots
I
tradition.
like him because they have a young football room. They have a young receiver room with a bunch of younger talent in there. Specifically right now, Mac Hollins, he's a professional. Like he's got a bunch of antics where he does the barefoot stuff in public and dresses like this. But I've heard I know him. He's a hardworking dude. He's mature. He has his public persona of what he is, but he gets a bad rap for that. But he's a professional. Like when he's at work, he's a pro. So them having a professional in that room, I think is going to be big because he's coming from a winning program. He's coming from the big dogs. He's been around the league on a bunch of teams. So I like the Mac Hollins signing.
When was the last time you were barefoot in public, Jules?
I used to do the grounding. Like, remember after practice, in like spring, I would ground.
Yeah. I'm a believer in that.
Because I think that's why he started it. He grounded. Like we were doing that like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You ground after practice because they were doing it in the EPL. Remember? English Premier League. We had John Sullivan, sports scientist that we used to have at the Patriots. He was over big with the EPL, English Premier League sports scientists, and they used to ground the soccer players after a long running session because it helps you balance or something. So we all started doing it, remember?
I do. I believe in it, man. I like it. If you definitely want to reset your body as well, your rhythmic, your rhythmic circulation, or what is it? Rhythmic.
Rhythmatic?
Yeah, rhythmic. Oh my gosh, it's a difficult word to say.
Rhythmatic circulation?
Yeah, rhythmatic circulation. It puts you back on the normal sleep schedule that you're supposed to be back on. So grounding helps out big time. And you saw Mac Hollins dress up as a Muppet last year too when he was on the Buffalo Bills. Do you think he should dress up as one? Or what Muppet should he dress up as this year, Jules, now being on the Patriots? You think that will be fly, being with Vrabel or what?
I mean, if they're winning and he's producing, I think that's going to be the key. Like all that stuff, like when you're on a winning football team, all that stuff works. I don't know. It's a little different if you're not winning, you're not producing, you're not playing, and you do that stuff. So I think a lot of that is situational and depending on each player, each different team. That's all situational to me.
And then it's going back to their free agency. They picked up outside linebacker Harold Landry, 3 years, $45 million. He's
edge guy,
Vrabel guy from Tennessee. He's a pass rusher, and that's what the Patriots needed last year was a pass rusher to get to the quarterback and put pressure on the quarterback. So their defense is looking strong. They went out, they took care of what of the positions they needed to take care of on the defensive side. They're going to be very solid. And, Vrabel's D might be looking like, the type of defenses Belichick had back in the day as well. You got to earn it. You got to beat the guys to, get first downs and touchdowns. So that was a good signing there, but we need guys on the offensive side of the ball. We don't know their exact game plan, but we need some more linemen and we need some more skill players out there for Drake May. And then I feel like the Patriots will compete where they really need to compete. They'll be at that level. Free agency is not over yet. There's some receivers out there as well. They can make some trades, but go out there, get some linemen, get a playmaker as well, and then I think they'll be set. And I think Drake May will take off, to the level that he needs to in his second year.
I think everyone also has to take a second and be reminded that free agency and is kind of like fool's gold. Fool's gold. Where, like
we're a little off today, Jules, with our pronunciations. But it's okay.
Fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Fool's gold. Like, because if these guys, like, if you're going to free agency and if you're that great of a player, there's a reason why the team is not signing you. That you're leaving.
I like the direction you're going right now. Keep going. Keep going.
I just think that, like, you always, there's a lot of free agents that get paid a lot of money to go be a hole filler at, you know, another team that does a different thing, that has a different identity, a different scheme, that there's like more cases that they don't work out than when they do work out. You know, there's cases where they do work out. Look at, you know, Kansas City with, you know, revamping that offensive line 5 years ago with Tooney, drafting. They revamped that through the help of developing their team through guys in the draft and bringing in guys. So I think that, like, free agencies, like, you're not going to make your team the best it's possibly. You're not going to win a Super Bowl over free agency. I think you put your team, the best teams that we were always a part of, we'd bring free agents in, but we built our team through the draft. Mm-hmm. And you got to develop your players. So, like, these guys are good players that can come in at the last part of you trying to become the team you want to be. But, like, to be and grow a foundational team, that's why I think free agency's fool's gold. Mm-hmm. You understand? Am I making any sense?
Man. And you're making total sense to me, Jules. I totally understand where you're going with that.
Because, like, look at our teams. You look at our teams. You look at,
because of all the guys that we drafted. That Bill drafted. It was all core guys. You got to have that core base of, you know, within your team, the solid base of guys that have been there, that have been through the rigor, that have been together for a couple years. You know, 4, 5, 6 years together. And then you bring in other guys to just fill in the bits and pieces. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They have those core guys. That's why they were champions this year. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have all those core guys. Those are the best teams. Every once in a while, you see a team progress, you know, from like last to first because of free agency, but you barely see that ever happen. So it's like fool's gold, like you said. It's like trickery. They go out and they get all these players and they think they're going to be great. And then boom, it just never happens because they don't have that solid foundation still, like you were just talking about. Look at the dream team when they had with the Philadelphia Eagles back in like 2013 it was. They're like, oh, this team's going to the Super Bowl. They went like, I don't know. I just know they didn't have a winning record, didn't even make the playoffs, and everyone was hyping them up because of free agency. So I 100%.
This is just a reminder. Like, these are exciting times. And these are awesome players that are coming to your team, but this isn't going to make your team that yet.